Australian radio personality on Triple M Radio in Melbourne, Australia, by the name of Eddie Maguire, is claiming that a new AC/DC album is practically imminent and that the band will hit the road in Australia before the end of the year. He says, I have a quote right here. He says, after a lot of work and a lot of technical research, they have been able to get a hearing aid for Brian Johnson, who will be out front. He says Angus Young, Brian, and likely Phil Rudd will all be a part of this tour. This follows the last batch of ever-consistent rumors. Remember back when Dee Snider, I believe it was in December, he claimed that a new AC/DC album was on its way. Mind you, through all of this, all of it, every little bit of it, the rumors, the pictures of the band supposedly making an album in Vancouver, Canada, not one peep officially out of the AC/DC camp.
No, as usual. And that's why all of this stuff I can't take for a second seriously. We've had Boy Who Cried Wolf syndrome a million times with AC/DC. Any minute the tour's getting announced. Any minute the record's getting announced. The record's coming out tomorrow. They're back with Brian. I mean, countless things. It's so ridiculous that somebody took something I said on this show and printed it online. And they printed what I said accurately, but they made up a headline that had absolutely nothing to do with what I was talking about AC/DC just to get clicks. You read the headline, then you read what I said, and it's completely two different things, but it's just clickbait. It is insane, the AC/DC stuff. So all due respect to that gentleman in Australia, and I don't think he's wrong. I think they will do something, and it could be announced soon. Who knows? But we've been hearing this for a couple years now. And it just kind of like, it's the same with the Van Halen. There's total parallels there. We have no idea what's really going on with Van Halen, and we have no idea what's really going on with AC/DC. Ironically, two of the biggest rock bands of all time, still. And we have no clue, real clue, what's really going on either front. Both camps as clandestine as possible. Thought about that too, which is interesting, how people handle this sort of stuff. So here you have Aerosmith, whose drama as of today is bleeding out publicly. And then when you talk about Ozzy, we can't get a bit of news from anyone. And then now you can't get more news from Ozzy. Not only do we know he has Parkinson's, we know the variant that he has. So that's fascinating as well. There are some guys that are Brett Michaels, get well Brett, dealing with skin cancer. He's out there on Instagram talking about it, showing it. And then you got guys that are just, you don't hear a peep from. You don't hear a peep from. You have no real idea what's going on. Fascinating how different people handle that stuff from a public relations standpoint.
Right?
The Sons of Apollo guys are near. Ed, what else you got?
Oh, just a bunch of touring news today. Rammstein have followed through on their promise of a North American tour. They've penciled in 10 stadium dates in the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, starting August 20th in Montreal. Bunch of big NFL cities on the docket, including, they got U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Soldier Field in Chicago, Gillette Stadium up in Foxborough, Massachusetts, and MetLife Stadium over in Jersey.
Wow, they're doing MetLife, Rammstein.
Mm-hmm. These are big stadiums here.
Ooh, that's a stadium tour. I mean, I'm not saying, the other tours did tremendously well. They even added a show. I'm just saying, when you say stadiums can be 10,000 or 100,000 seats. The MetLife Stadium's 80,000 seats.
But mind you,
now you cut some of that out if you put the stage at the end, but
only 10 shows. It's not a lengthy tour.
Did they announce any support?
Not that I see. I can take a gander here.
That is amazing. That is amazing. A band that gets zero mainstream radio airplay in this country.
Oh, except for that one hit back in the 90s.
Doesn't even sing in English. They don't even sing, for the most part, in English. And they are about to be a straight headline in a football stadium. That's insane. And if you know anything about Rammstein, whether you like their music or not, they are notorious in a good way for their stage performance. Their stage shows set the bar for the use of pyrotechnics.
Oh, you'll get a...
It is basically 2 hours of flames.
You'll get first-degree burns if you're in the orchestra.
Many bands have borrowed and watched and taken from Rammstein's show and their groundbreaking use of pyro. So they are one of those things that is an experience more than anything. Not to say they don't have musical value. If you're into, there's industrial leanings to what they do, it's different stuff. But the way the music is timed to the effects and the pyro, it's what people talk about. It is like seeing, some, I don't know, Cirque du Soleil on steroids deal with a ton of pyro. So, and they don't play often. So that's why they can do this. They build these audiences and become legend, and people got to come out and see them, man. That is unbelievably ambitious, though. And nothing surprises me anymore. I'm sure they'll probably do fine. They've done a few arena dates in the past in America, but wow. What else, Ed?
And very quickly here, before we get to the break, some Shed tour dates coming courtesy of Alice Cooper, who just will not stop. He's going to be touring late May and June. Another leg